I want you to take a breath right now, a real one, deep into your belly, because I have a feeling that you have been holding your breath for a very long time. To the outside world, you are a marvel. You are the woman who juggles the career, the aging parents, the children, and the home. And you do it all with a smile. You never drop a ball. You never miss a deadline. You make it look effortless. But if I were to put a stethoscope to your chest right now, even while you are sitting still, I would hear your heart racing. I would hear the hum of a nervous system that is wired for catastrophe. There is a term for this. Researchers at Stanford University call it duck syndrome. On the surface of the water, the duck looks calm, serene, gliding effortlessly across the lake, but underneath the surface, where no one can see, those little feet are paddling furiously just to keep from sinking. If you feel like you are paddling for your life just to maintain the illusion that you have it all together, you are not alone. And more importantly, you are not broken. You are experiencing what we call high-functioning anxiety. But today, we are going to look at it through a deeper lens, through the eyes of Carl Jung. We're going to challenge the myth of the perfect woman. We're going to discover that perfectionism is not a sign of high standards. It is actually a shield, a heavy, suffocating shield that you carry to protect yourself from judgment and from shame. But the shield that protects you is also the shield that isolates you. In this video, we are going to have an honest conversation. We are going to talk about the mess, the cracks in the armor, and why falling apart might actually be the best thing that could happen to you right now. You do not have to be perfect to be loved. Let us begin the journey from perfection to wholeness.
To understand why this pressure is crushing you, we must first strip away the glamour of the word perfectionism. Society tells you that being a perfectionist is a virtue. It sounds like you just have high standards. It sounds like you care about quality. But if we look at the actual lived experience of a woman over 40, perfectionism feels very different. It does not feel like pride. It feels like fear. It is a 24-hour defense system. It is the belief that if I do everything perfectly, if I look perfect, if my house is perfect, if my children are perfect, then I can avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. You are not trying to be perfect because you want to win an award. You are trying to be perfect because you want to be safe. Let me share a story with you that illustrates this perfectly. It is the story of a woman named Claire. Claire is 51 years old. She is the woman everyone else wants to be. Her life looks like a magazine spread. Last December, Claire decided to host the family Christmas party. She wanted it to be magical. She wanted to create a memory that her aging parents and her grown children would never forget. For 3 weeks, Claire went into overdrive. She curated the perfect menu. She ironed the tablecloths until they were crisp as glass. She decorated every corner of the house. She was running on 4 hours of sleep a night, fueled by caffeine and a desperate need for everything to be right. An hour before the guests were set to arrive, the house smelled like pine and cinnamon. It was breathtaking. But inside, Claire was vibrating with anxiety. Her cortisol levels were through the roof. Her teenage son walked into the dining room. He was eating a cookie, and without thinking, he brushed a few crumbs onto the freshly vacuumed carpet. It was a tiny mistake, a nothing moment. But for Claire, it was the spark that blew up the powder keg. She snapped. She screamed at him. I mean, she really screamed. Her voice was unrecognizable. She said things she didn't mean. She saw the look of shock and hurt on her son's face, and in that split second, the shame hit her like a physical blow. She turned around and ran into the guest bathroom. She locked the door, and she slid down to the floor. She sat there on the cold tile in her beautiful holiday dress, shaking uncontrollably. She wasn't shaking because of the crumbs. She was shaking because she hated herself. She thought, I am a monster. I have ruined everything. I am a fake. 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Claire stood up. She washed her face. She put on fresh lipstick. She unlocked the door, and she walked out to greet her guests with a radiant smile. The party was a huge success. Everyone told her the food was delicious. Everyone told her the house looked amazing. They said, Claire, you really have it all together. But Claire felt nothing. She felt like she was watching the party from behind a thick sheet of glass. She was completely alone, because the people there were admiring the hostess. They were admiring the persona. They didn't know the woman who had just been sobbing on the bathroom floor, and Claire couldn't tell them, because if she told them, the illusion would shatter. This story is a tragedy. It is a micro-tragedy that happens in homes across America every single day. Claire represents the shadow side of perfectionism. We think perfectionism earns us connection. We think that if we are impressive enough, people will love us. But the truth is the exact opposite. Perfectionism is the enemy of connection. Think about it. When you are with someone who is perfect, someone who has no flaws, someone who never makes a mistake, do you feel close to them, or do you feel inadequate? Do you feel safe to share your own mess, or do you feel like you have to perform too? Perfect people are not relatable. They are admirable, yes, but they are hard to touch. They are like marble statues, cold, hard, and distant. By trying so hard to be perfect, Claire built a wall between herself and the people she loved most. She traded intimacy for admiration, and that is a terrible trade. Admiration is a drug. It gives you a quick high, but it doesn't nourish you. It doesn't hold you when you are crying. Intimacy, real connection, only happens in the mess. It happens when we let our guard down. It happens when we say, I am sorry, I lost my temper. It happens when we say, I burnt the roast, let's order pizza. But for women in midlife, this pivot is terrifying because we have equated our worth with our performance for so long. we have high-functioning anxiety. This is a specific type of anxiety that propels you forward rather than paralyzing you. It makes you successful. It makes you the one everyone relies on, but internally, the engine is running too hot. You are constantly scanning the horizon for failure. You believe that if you drop one ball, just one, the entire juggling act will come crashing down. And if it crashes, you will be exposed. Exposed as what? As human. Just human. Flawed. Tired. Limited. Human. Why is that so scary? Why is being human the one thing we are not allowed to be? Because somewhere along the line, you learned a dangerous equation. You learned that love equals performance. You learned that you are only as good as your last achievement. You are only as lovable as your last perfect dinner party. This belief system is heavy. It is a burden that grows heavier with every passing year. Because as we age, life gets messier. Parents get sick, bodies change, careers shift, the variables become impossible to control. And if your self-worth depends on controlling the uncontrollable, you are setting yourself up for a breakdown. Claire's breakdown in the bathroom wasn't a failure. It was a symptom of a soul that was suffocating. Her soul was screaming for air. It was screaming for the permission to be imperfect. If you recognize yourself in Claire, if you have ever hidden your tears to protect your image, if you have ever felt that hollow loneliness in a room full of people who admire you, then you are ready for the next step. You are ready to hear what Carl Jung has to say about this. Jung didn't care about perfection. In fact, he found perfection boring and sterile. He cared about something much deeper, something much more dangerous and much more beautiful. He cared about wholeness. And to understand wholeness, we have to look at the parts of yourself you have been trying to cut off. We have to look at the mess you are hiding. And we have to realize that the mess isn't the problem. The hiding is.
So, what is the alternative to perfection? If we stop trying to be the woman who has it all together, do we just become a mess? Do we just give up? This is the fear that keeps you trapped on the hamster wheel. You think the only two options are perfection or failure. But Carl Jung offers us a third option. And it is the most liberating concept you will ever learn. He called it wholeness. Jung famously said, "I would rather be whole than good." Let that sink in for a moment. I would rather be whole than good. Most of us have spent our entire lives trying to be good, trying to be the good girl, the good mother, the good wife. But in the pursuit of being good, we have sliced off half of who we are. To be perfect means to be without flaws. It means you have to hide your anger, your jealousy, your fatigue, your selfishness. You have to take all those messy, human parts of yourself and shove them into the shadow. You lock them in the basement of your psyche, and you spend all your energy standing guard at the door, making sure they don't get out. This is why you are exhausted. You are not exhausted because you are doing too much laundry. You are exhausted because you are holding a beach ball underwater 24 hours a day. You are trying to keep your shadow submerged. But wholeness is different. Wholeness means inviting the shadow back upstairs. It means acknowledging that you are kind, and you are also capable of rage. You are generous, and you also have needs. You are competent, and you are also clueless sometimes. Jung used the metaphor of a tree. He said, "No tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell." Think about that image. The tree does not apologize for its roots. It does not try to hide the dirt. The dirt is where the nourishment comes from. Your mess, your mistakes, your bad days, that is your dirt. That is where your roots live. If you try to cut off your roots to look perfect, you will wither. You will become brittle. You will snap in the first strong wind. But if you embrace your roots, if you embrace your mess, you become grounded. You become real. This brings us to a hard truth about midlife. The first half of life is about building the persona. It is about building a strong container, showing the world that you can handle it. But the second half of life is about breaking that container. It is about letting the contents spill out. If you are over 40 and you are still trying to be perfect, you are fighting against the current of your own life. You are fighting evolution. Your soul is trying to break you open, not to destroy you, but to expand you. And this leads me to a prophecy. I want you to listen to this carefully because it is not a threat. It is a law of nature. If you continue to chase perfection, if you continue to deny your mess will not go away. It will metabolize. It will turn into something else. It will turn into a symptom. We see this all the time in women over 50. The repressed anger turns into chronic pain. The repressed grief turns into an autoimmune disorder. The repressed exhaustion turns into a deep, unshakable depression. Your body will force you to stop performing. Your body will force you to be messy. Wouldn't you rather choose the mess on your own terms? Wouldn't you rather lay down the shield voluntarily before it crushes you? I want to do a check-in with you right now. I want to speak to the part of you that is terrified of this idea. The part of you that is whispering, "But if I show them my mess, they will leave." Close your eyes for a second if you can. Picture the version of yourself that you have been hiding. Maybe she is crying. Maybe she is screaming. Maybe she is just sitting on the floor in her pajamas, staring at a wall. She is the part of you that doesn't have it all together. Now, imagine looking at her. Do you feel disgust? Do you feel shame? Or can you find just a tiny bit of compassion? Can you see that she is not a monster? She is just tired. She is just human. This is the work of wholeness. It is not about fixing her. It is not about cleaning her up so she is presentable for company. It is about sitting on the floor with her. It is about putting your arm around her and saying, "I see you, and you are allowed to be here." When you make friends with your own mess, something magical happens. The shame begins to evaporate. Shame cannot survive empathy. Shame needs secrecy to grow. When you bring your mess into the light, when you look at it with kindness, it loses its power to hurt you. And then, the most incredible thing happens in your relationships. When you stop trying to be perfect, you give everyone around you permission to stop trying too. Think about your children. Do you want them to grow up thinking they have to be perfect to be loved? Do you want them to hide their struggles from you? Of course not. You want them to come to you when they're broken. But you cannot teach them that it's okay to be broken if you are always pretending to be whole. You teach them by modeling it, by letting them see you fail, by letting them see you cry, by letting them see you apologize, by letting them see you ask for help. That is not weakness. That is leadership. That is spiritual leadership. You are showing them that love is unconditional, that it does not depend on performance. This shift from perfection to wholeness is the antidote to the high-functioning anxiety we talked about earlier. Anxiety comes from the constant fear of being found out, the fear that the mask will slip. But if you take off the mask yourself, if you say, "This is me, this is my face, this is my mess," then there's nothing left to fear. You are free. You are no longer wasting your precious life force managing an image. You are using that life force to actually live, to connect, to feel, to be. I know this sounds beautiful, but I also know it sounds abstract. You might be asking, okay, I want to be whole, but how do I actually do that? How do I stop being a perfectionist when my house is messy and my to-do list is a mile long? How do I lower the bar without feeling like a failure? We need practical tools. We need a strategy for the real world. We need a way to navigate the daily demands of life without losing our minds. So, in the next part of this video, I am going to give you 2 specific tools. One is a rule you can apply to your schedule, and one is a metaphor from Japanese art that will change the way you see your scars forever. We are going to learn how to embrace the good enough life.
Let us begin with a radical shift in how you operate your daily life. I want to introduce you to a concept that I call the 80% rule. Growing up, most of us were trained to aim for 100%. We wanted the A+ on the report card. We wanted the gold star. We learned that anything less than 100% was a failure. But in the physics of real life, the cost of that last 20% is astronomical. Think about cleaning your house. Getting it to 80% clean takes about an hour. The dishes are done, the floors are swept, it looks good, it is livable. But to get it to 100% clean, to scrub the baseboards, to organize the spice rack alphabetically, to make sure there is not a single fingerprint on the window, that takes another 4 hours. That last 20% of perfection costs you 80% of your energy. And I have to ask you, is it worth it? Is having spotless baseboards worth your exhaustion? Is having the perfect holiday card worth your sanity? The 80% rule gives you permission to stop at good enough. Good enough is not laziness. Good enough is efficiency. Good enough creates space for life to happen. When you stop at 80%, you have 20% of your battery left to play with your kids, to talk to your partner, to read a book, to just be. I want you to try this in one area of your life this week. Maybe it is with email. Instead of crafting the perfect, witty, comprehensive response, write a response that is clear and done. Hit send and feel the anxiety rise, and then feel it pass. Notice that the world did not end because you were merely competent instead of exceptional. This practice breaks the addiction to overfunctioning. But we need to go deeper than just time management. We need to address the deep shame you feel about your cracks, the shame about the divorce, the shame about the career that stalled, the shame about the body that is aging. To heal this, I want to take you to Japan. There is an ancient Japanese art form called Kintsugi. When a precious bowl or vase falls and shatters into pieces, most cultures would throw it in the trash. They would say, "It is broken, it is ruined, it is useless." But the masters of Kintsugi do not throw it away. They pick up the pieces with reverence, and they put them back together. But they do not use clear glue. They do not try to hide the cracks. They use a special lacquer mixed with powdered gold. They highlight the cracks. They fill the broken places with pure gold. And when the object is finished, it is considered more beautiful and more valuable than it was before it was broken. Why? Because now it has a history. Now it has a story. It has survived something. I want you to look at your life through the lens of Kintsugi. You are not a broken vessel that needs to be hidden. You are a Kintsugi masterpiece in the making. The depression you survived, that is a line of gold. The grief that brought you to your knees, that is a line of gold. The mistakes you made when you were young, they are all lines of gold. Carl Jung believed that the primary function of the second half of life is to integrate these broken pieces into a new whole. He called it the alchemical process, turning the lead of our suffering into the gold of wisdom. A woman who has never been broken is like the pristine bowl on the shelf. She is pretty, but she has no depth. She has no capacity to hold the pain of others. But a woman who has shattered and put herself back together with gold, she is formidable. She has depth. She has empathy. When you are in her presence, you feel safe, because you know she will not judge your cracks. She knows the value of them. So how do we practice Kintsugi in our everyday lives? How do we stop hiding the cracks? We do it through what I call intentional mess. This is a form of exposure therapy for the perfectionist. I want you to do something that feels illegal to your inner good girl. I want you to leave the dishes in the sink overnight. Just once. Go to bed with a dirty kitchen. Lie there in the dark. Your mind will try to tell you that you're a failure. It will tell you that ants will carry away the house by morning. Let the mind chatter and breathe. Wake up the next morning, walk into the kitchen, see the dishes, and realize that you are still safe. The sky did not fall. Your family still loves you. You survived the imperfection. Or try this. Invite a friend over when your house is not ready. Don't clean up before she comes. Don't apologize for the pile of mail on the counter. Just open the door and say, "Come in. Excuse the mess. Life is happening here." Watch her reaction. She will not judge you. She will likely exhale. She will likely relax, because you have just given her permission to be messy too. You have created a zone of truth. This is how we find peace. Peace is not found in a perfectly organized closet. Peace is found in the acceptance of chaos. It is found in the knowledge that you are resilient enough to handle the mess. You do not need to control the environment to be okay. You are okay because you are you. Jung taught that the ego wants perfection, but the soul wants completion. Your ego wants to be the statue of marble, but your soul wants to be the river. The river is messy. It carries mud. It floods. It changes course. But it is alive. It supports life. Marble statues are dead. They cannot change. They cannot grow. They can only crack. You are being invited today to choose life, to choose the river, to choose the flow over the structure. This shift will save your life. It will lower your blood pressure. It will bring back your laughter. Have you noticed that perfect people rarely laugh? They are too busy holding their breath. Laughter comes from the belly. It comes from the release of tension. It comes when we realize the absurdity of trying to be gods when we are only human. Embracing your mess is an act of spiritual rebellion. In a world that sells you airbrushed images and curated feeds, to show up as you are, wrinkles and all, scars and all, is a revolutionary act. It says, "I am not here to be consumed by you. I am here to be me. And me is a work in progress. And that is beautiful." As you start to apply the 80% rule, and as you start to see your scars as gold, you will feel a weight lift off your shoulders, the weight of Atlas. You can put the world down now. It can spin without you for a while. You have earned the right to be imperfect. You have earned the right to be messy. You have earned the right to be whole. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of your real life. The life that happens when you stop performing and start living.
I want you to take one more deep breath with me. Inhale deeply. And as you exhale, imagine that you are breathing out the need to be perfect. Imagine it leaving your body like gray smoke. You have been holding your breath for decades, trying to suck in your stomach, trying to say the right thing, trying to be everything to everyone. And now you can finally exhale. You can finally let your belly be soft. You can finally let your house be lived in. You can finally let your heart be messy. I know that stepping off the pedestal of perfection feels dangerous. It feels like a long fall. But I promise you, you are not falling into an abyss. You are falling into the arms of your own humanity. You are falling onto the soft ground of reality. And reality is so much more comfortable than the pedestal ever was. When you choose to be real instead of perfect, you are giving the world a gift. You are giving the people around you permission to exhale too. Think about the legacy you are leaving. Do you want to be remembered as the woman who had the cleanest floors? Or do you want to be remembered as the woman who had the warmest heart? Do you want to be remembered for your perfect appearance or for your infectious laughter? Perfection is a mask that keeps people at a distance, but your flaws, your cracks, your stories of failure and resilience, those are the hooks that people can hold on to. Those are the things that make you lovable. So today, I invite you to make a new agreement with yourself, an agreement to be a Kintsugi masterpiece, to wear your scars with pride, to stop hiding the gold. I want you to seal this agreement with a small action. Please scroll down to the comments section, and I want you to write a declaration of peace. Write this simple sentence: I am trading perfection for peace. Just 6 words. I am trading perfection for peace. When you write those words, you are breaking the spell of the good girl. You are telling your nervous system that the performance is over. You are stepping off the stage and joining the audience of your own life. Look at the other comments. See how many other women are tired of the hustle. See how many others are choosing peace today. You are not alone in this mess. We are all messy together, and that is what makes us beautiful. However, I have to be honest with you about what happens next. When you stop performing, when you stop rushing around trying to fix everything, when you finally sit down to rest, you might not feel peaceful right away. In fact, you might feel something very uncomfortable. You might feel a wave of guilt. A voice in your head might say, "You are being lazy. You should be doing something. Look at that laundry. Look at that email." This guilt is the final guard dog of the perfectionist. It barks the loudest when you try to sit still. If you have ever felt like resting is a crime, if you have ever felt like you have to earn your right to sit down, please watch my next video. Why women feel so guilty for resting. In that video, we are going to confront the guilt head on. We are going to look at why your brain interprets stillness as danger, and I will give you the tools to rest without apology. To rest, not because you have finished your work, but because resting is your birthright. It is the essential companion to the work we did today, because you cannot embrace your mess if you are too guilty to look at it. If this video helped you put down a heavy burden today, if you feel a little lighter, please subscribe to this channel. Think of this space as a sanctuary for your imperfect self, a place where you do not have to impress anyone, a place where you are enough, just as you are. By subscribing, you are building a community of women who are choosing depth over image. Click the like button, not as a grade for my performance, but as a signal to yourself that you are ready to stop grading your own life. And share this video with a friend, the one who's always stressed, the one who apologizes for her messy car. Tell her you are doing great and you can stop now. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for your courage to be seen, cracks and all. Remember, the light enters through the wound. Your imperfections are not mistakes. They are the map of your journey. And it is a beautiful journey. Breathe. Let go. And I will see you in the next video.